Okay, so this is a video on Surds looking at some further applications. These questions will be on the test, so I hope that you're able to do them. Again, I've let the answers on the top of the screen. So let's have a look at some solutions. So let's have a go doing A, B, and C. Now pause the video and see how far you can get on these. Remember, by making mistakes in maths, you learn maths if you make your corrections. So pause the video and have a go doing 4A, B, and C. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. Let's do copy this down, plus 3 over root 2. Okay, so I'm just going to rationalize both of these to make life easier for us. So the next line is going to give root 2 over 2 plus root 5 over 5. Okay, now the lowest common multiple of 2 and 5 is 10. If we want, we can cross multiply. So we're going to get 5 root 2 plus 2 root 5 all over 10, which is what we got. So we can put a small tick, we can do our self-assessment. Mr. Winston can do question 4A. So let's have a go at doing B. If you didn't get it right, why don't you pause the video and see if you can do it? Okay, root 3, root 7, root 7. Okay, so we're going to get root 3 over 3 minus root 7 over 7. Let's cross multiply. So we get 7 root 3 minus 3 root 7 all over 21. Mr. Winston's going to do a self-assessment. Can I do 2B? 7 root 3 minus 3. Okay, got that right. Okay, if you didn't get C right, pause the video and see if you can have a go. Okay, so that is root 11 times root 11, root 2 times root 2. That is 2 root 11 over 11 plus 3 root 2 over 2. Let's cross multiply. 4 root 11 plus 33 root 2 all over 33. Okay, so this is a 2. This is a 2, not a 3. So we've got 22. Okay, so let's do my self-assessments. 4 root 11, 33 root 2 over 22. So this is right. Okay, so have a go doing the rest of 4. The answers are here. And then we'll have a look at 5. Okay, so at the moment, we've only rationalized mono denominators of the type 1 over root a. That is monomial. We're now going to rationalize binomial denominators. Bi means 2, something like this. Before we do that, we need to be familiar with something called the conjugate. The conjugate, very important term in maths. Now the conjugate, let's do 3 examples. Let's be mad and do 4. So the conjugate of something, if we have a is equal to 1 plus the root of 2. The conjugate is written a with a little hat on, 1 minus root 2. So if we look at the product, something really special happens. One minus root 2 plus root 2, negative 2, they cancel and we get negative 1. If we multiply a binomial by its conjugate, we remove some terms and produce an integer. This is just for radicals. If, for example, we get 1 plus x, let's say this is a, well, a bar is going to be 1 minus x, and we know what this is. This is a difference of 2 squares. If we have a plus b, the conjugate is going to, if we multiply by the conjugate, we get this. Let's say this is a, this is the conjugate, to get a squared minus b squared. And you can multiply that out if you're not convinced. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. That was an unsuccessful success. Let's have a look at some examples. If we've got a is equal to 1 plus the square root of 3, I want you to work out a bar and the product a bar. If we've got b is equal to 1 minus, I want you to work out b bar and b bar. If we've got c is equal to the root of 5 minus 1, I want you to work out the conjugate and c. And let's do a difficult one at the end. Let's do negative root 5 negative 1. I want you to work out the conjugate and then the conjugate multiplied by the original. Okay, off we go. Pause the video. Okay, hopefully you've done that now. We just changed the sign on the variable. In this case, we treat the surd as the variable. Just change the sign of the variable. So let's multiply out then. We got 1 plus root 3, 1 minus root 3. That gives 1 minus root 3 plus root 3, negative 3. That goes to give negative 2. This is exactly the same. We just get negative 2. It's the same as 1. Let's multiply out here. We get negative 5, negative root 5, positive root 5, plus 1. That goes, left with negative 4. Let's do this. Minus 1. Root 5 minus 1. So we get negative 5, negative root 5, positive root 5, negative 1. That goes, negative 6. Okay, so you should all be familiar with the conjugate. So let's write a sentence for how to simplify radicals where the denominator is a binomial. To simplify fractions where the denominator is a binomial, with a radical e dot g 1 over the root of a plus b, we multiply numerator and denominator by the conjugate of root a plus b. So let's do that then. We're going to multiply by the conjugate, which is negative root a plus b, negative root a plus b. And we know if we've made a mistake because the radical on the bottom doesn't disappear. Okay, so on the numerator we're going to get, let's multiply out, we got negative a plus b root of a, negative b root of a plus b squared. So this gives negative root a over b all over, that goes, and we've got negative a plus b squared. We don't like putting negatives first, so let's put b minus the root of a all over b squared minus a. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Let's do some examples. Now we've got the answers there, so we can do our self-assessment. And I'm just going to do 5a and 5b. Okay, so we've got 1 over root 2 plus 1. So we multiply numerator and denominator by the conjugate. Let's do that then. So on the second line we have negative root 2 plus 1 all over negative 2 plus root 2 minus root 2 plus 1. That goes. So we're left with, let's write it like this. You won't be marked down for leaving it like that. Negative 1. Let's multiply numerator and denominator by negative 1. To give root 2 minus 1. Okay, 5a, did we get it right? Two minus root 1. Okay, so Mr. Winston's going to do self-assessment. I've got 5a right. What a relief. What a relief. Okay, let's do b then. Okay, 1 over root 3 minus 1. So we multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate. Okay, by the way, if I'd made a mistake, I still would have left it up. There's some extension 1 videos where I make mistakes and I just start from scratch. It's really important that students realize that teachers make mistakes as well. When I was at university, my professors made loads of mistakes on the board. Okay, so we've got negative root 3 minus 1 all over negative 3, negative root 3, positive root 3, positive 1, negative root 3, negative 1. That goes, negative 2. and we're left with this. Which is the same as root 3 plus 1 all over 2. I'm going to do my self-assessment. We've got 5. Okay, so that's right. Okay, so have a go at doing the rest of the questions. And remember, whenever we get a fraction with a radical binomial, we multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate. I'm going to do this in blue, or we just change the sign. Okay, marvelous. Do the rest of 5 and mark your work as you go along.